my word.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new video, and in this video I'm going to be explaining a new creature that I created in the Godzilla x Shimo series. And I bet some of you have already seen this creature during my YouTube post on my animation channel, and people are wondering why it's bigger than Shimozilla, Godzilla, Kong, and Shimo herself. But I'll explain the backstory on this creature, but first let's get into the powers and stats. And this series is not canon to the original Monsterverse. This is just my version of the Monsterverse in particular after the events of Godzilla x Kong. But with that all out of the way, let's get you introduced to the new kaiju. Meet the Titanus black panda, a giant bear-like kaiju that absorbs electricity and nuclear radiation, and has the advantage to kill off any alpha kaiju, and that includes Godzilla and Kong. But we'll save the powers and stats for later. Let's get into the backstory actually. So back then, when the Godzilla species and the Kong species were just thriving, the black panda wasn't on Earth yet. He actually came from a whole nother dimension, and his species has gone extinct, and he's like literally the last one of his kind. And the reason why they went extinct because they got killed off by one singular hybrid creature that will be kept a secret. But during the other dimension, the black panda cub, also named to be LT, was struggling to survive, trying to find his own food as a little cub. Throughout his years by himself, he had to fight back against other creatures, fight for his food, and now he's a fully grown adult. One night, he was sleeping in his den until a portal came up. It was a hollow earth portal. He didn't know how it came to his world, but he went through the portal and found the hollow earth. Giant colorful crystals everywhere. Everywhere was green and beautiful, but there are some certain parts he's never been to in the hollow earth. The black panda kept walking and walking, exploring the hollow earth as he go with his 4 feet. And while he was walking, he got a little hungry, and he walked to the lake and realized a pack of Kong species. One was male, one was female, and 2 kids. So knowing himself, he had to do what he had to do. He had to snatch at least one of them up to fill his hunger. He was just waiting in the bushes seeing the Kongs getting a drink of water. But he realized he had competition across them, the drowned viper. As one of the children noticed the black panda moving in the bushes but couldn't see him physically. But LT was just trying to stay quiet for a while until his meal almost got snatched. The drowned viper jumped out of the water, tried to catch one of the Kongs. The black panda pounces out too, but now the Kongs are trying to find a way out from these 2 vicious predators, knowing that one of them is clearly new here. The apes found a way out and scattered, but the black panda was mad at the drowned viper, so they fought in the water for a while, then the drowned viper ended up retreating. Meanwhile, after the fight, the black panda kept wandering around Hollow Earth until he found the shield that goes to the Iwi city. He sniffs the shield at first and starts clawing the shield open. And then he manages to see the hollow earth portals that lead to the surface world around the world. The Iwi tribe that was in the hollow earth started hiding because they didn't know what the creature was. But the black panda didn't really care about the Iwi since they were too small and they would be a big waste of his time. He managed to go through one of them, the one that leads straight up to Rio de Janeiro. He managed to go through the portals that were in the hollow earth, leading him straight up to Egypt. He was confused by the sights he was seeing. But knowing him, he never cared, so he just kept on walking around the globe for a while. He kept on walking until he entered Godzilla territory. The Godzillas were just sitting there like they were iguanas coming up from the shore. But knowing the black panda not giving a care, he decides to walk through them, trying to get across. As he walks on his all fours, Godzilla started growling, thinking if he was a threat. One of the females came up and roared in front of his face aggressively, and then the female Godzilla slapped him across the face, thinking that the black panda was crazy to come at this territory. The black panda growled and hissed. He looked up at the female Godzilla, stood up on his hind legs, looking down at her, while the female Godzilla takes a few steps back, knowing that it's too late now. The black panda slapped the female Godzilla down to the ground with his strong, massive paw, clawing her face on accident. All the other Godzillas stood up to him. Some of them roared, but the black panda went back on his all fours and continued walking until 2 of the Godzillas charged up their atomic breaths, blasting it at the stomach of the black panda. Some of his fur is burned off, but due to the electricity he absorbs, he easily recovered, regrowing that fluff of fur. Then some of the Godzillas tried to jump on him, causing him to fall. He did not take that very lightly. So the Black Panda managed to barge out and bite one of the Godzillas, thrashing him around. The Black Panda was just slamming down the Godzilla with his jaw force, like it was a dinosaur slamming down a small creature in his jaws. The Gojira eventually started dying because the teeth were sinked into his flesh too deep, to the point where, quote unquote, he ripped out his insides. And then one of the Gojiras tried to bite him on the neck, and then he ended up getting tail slammed. And the Gojiras just won't stop. They just keep trying to fight him. And this is the part where the Black Panda just gets pissed off. The black fluffy creature starts charging up his power of his own, known to be called the Zeus Blast. The Godzillas were curious of what he was going to do next, as he was charging up his blast. He shoots out the Zeus Blast out of his mouth, impaling the Godzilla from all the thunderbolts. The Godzilla started coughing up blood, noticing a huge hole in his chest. The Godzilla falls down lifeless, while the other Godzillas looked in shock, taking a few steps back before retreating. As the Godzillas retreat, the Black Panda chases them more for payback. As soon as they ran, one of the Godzillas got caught by the Black Panda. While that Godzilla cries for help, the Black Panda just digs in, eating the Godzilla whole. And later on, he figures out that Godzillas are a healthy treat, and he absorbs the radiation out of them every time he eats them, meaning that Gojiras and Kongs are now a part of the Black Panther's diet. So now he knows that Gojiras are a foe to him. He now walked away from the spot that was owned by the Godzillas with a very full stomach. A week later, he started glowing, and he sparked up a whole bunch of electricity from his back, meaning that it's time for him to hibernate. He heads back down to his area, to the Hollow Earth in his big cave, absorbing the power from the crystals that were near him in his cave while he sleeps. A year and a half later, while he was still sleeping during his hibernation and evolving, he wakes up disturbed, seeing his home is caved in and now he is trapped. And the crystals are now growing bigger and bigger. Throughout his cave, he can hear the roars of Kongs and Godzillas battling. But then the Black Panda realized it was only one particular Godzilla that was fighting the Kongs. And there was one Kong that was red, and he goes by Scar King. The Godzilla trapped him down in the subterranean realm of the Hollow Earth. While the Black Panda was still listening of what was going on, he heard the sound of Scar King and the other apes fighting another creature. But the Black Panda was not focused on the capture of Shimo. He was more focused on the Godzilla, since he knew that Godzillas were now a foe to him. The Black Panda bursts out the trapped cave of boulders he was trapped in, and then he runs to those portals that lead to the surface world, but then found a portal that led him to a battleground, aka Skull Island, where Kong's own family got demolished by the Skullcrawlers. The Black Panda stood back, not wanting any problems at all, letting the Kongs and the Skullcrawlers clash. He took a swim under the ocean for a while, like he was a polar bear. And then it led to this, him seeing the Godzilla that brought Scar King down with Shimo. The Godzilla was already mad that his species were taken out by the Mutos. Then afterward, the Black Panda roared aggressively. The Godzilla turned back and looked at him and roared back. They fought each other. Godzilla was very wounded from the bite marks. The Black Panda was wounded also, gushing blood from the atomic breath, but he regrew his fur back after the impact. The Black Panda pounced on top of the Godzilla, roaring in front of his face to claim his dominance. The Godzilla roars back, not giving up. The Godzilla shoots another atomic breath at the Black Panda's face, and then the Black Panda was temporarily blinded for now. Then the Godzilla shoots an atomic breath at the ground, which causes the ground to crack. The Black Panda rests under the ocean while he's been clearly defeated by a little Godzilla. But the Black Panda will get his revenge on that Godzilla soon. He goes back into his cave in the Hollow Earth, hibernating through 1954 to 2030. Now fully stronger, he will get revenge on Godzilla. Now that the backstory is over with, let's get into this guy's stats. The Titanus Black Panda eats and consumes Godzilla's radiation, which is counted as protein, and it hunted Kongs and Godzillas, including Skullcrawlers sometimes, but if it's a whole pack of Skullcrawlers dealing with a whole nother species, he will just mind his business for now. And this creature only attacks if a foe is coming or if it's threatened by another creature. And this creature has the bite force to crush bone and shake off and tear apart any limbs. And it's taller than Shimozilla, Kong, Godzilla himself, Shimo, Biolante, slightly taller than Destroyer, and slightly taller than Moondora including Space Godzilla. The Zeus Blast replicates the god of thunder. It's supposed to represent those spears that he throws that goes through enemies. But in the Black Panda's case, the power just impales the creature and then the creature ends up dying from blood lost. And this is pretty much it for the Black Panda. And put in the comments, what do you think about my creation? And I'm still taking a break from the Godzilla x Shimo series, but the Black Panda will be revealed in part 7. But anyways, make sure to like and subscribe. I love you guys and peace out.